Hello people, I am Jaby KOAY. This is my guest and buddy, Akasan.
What's up, everybody?
So, by the time this video comes out, Suicide Squad will have well been out. And I'm gonna do my best to just let this be a free-flow conversation that doesn't cut at all. So this will feel like a little bit more loose and spaced out for that reason. So it's just us chatting about the movie. Now, we come from opposite sides about this.
I think so. I'm already...
Yeah.
You haven't told me anything of what you think about it, but just your expression alone leads me to believe that we are on a different side.
So Suicide Squad is a David Ayer film, and David Ayer has done what else? Do you know what else he's done?
No, I've never seen any of his other work.
From what little I did, I glanced at his IMDb and looked at what he wrote and directed. David Ayer is actually pretty legitimate, like what he's done before. He did Fury.
Fury, I heard of it.
He did. He did.
Training Day.
Training Day. He wrote Training Day?
He wrote Training Day.
Okay. And Fast and the Furious, he wrote the original, he penned the original script. U571, I heard was a really good movie. SWAT was okay. I didn't see Harsh Times. I saw End of Watch. End of Watch, according to a police officer I spoke with, was actually on point.
Really?
That was really on point. Wow. Fury was all right. What else has he directed? Bright, Suicide Squad, Fury, End of Watch. Yeah, so I like Street Kings. Did you see Street Kings?
Never.
That was a Keanu Reeves movie, and I thought that was actually really well done.
Okay.
Like, if you want a hardcore, not hardcore, but like a kind of a rugged fight scene in a kitchen between two real people. Street Kings had like a really interesting fight between Keanu Reeves and Last King of Scotland guy, Ghost Dog. What's his name?
Forrest Whitaker.
Forrest Whitaker, yeah. So I was gonna say,
I was gonna say Rogue One, but
yeah, Rogue One.
Okay.
Okay, so David Ayer is not a super hypnotic director.
Right. He's very gritty, realistic type of practical.
Exactly. And that is not what Suicide Squad was in the least. I felt like something was like suspect when I was watching it because I'm like, something's off here. It doesn't feel like the editor and the director were on the same page at all. And what happened was a friend of mine, who will remain nameless, told me, I got different sources of information, right? A friend of mine told me that after the trailer came out, the execs were so happy that they went and took the film and gave it to the trailer editors to redo. That is a rumor I heard from my friend. And then I told that to another friend of mine who said her husband works at the trailer house that they vetted trailer editors for.
Yes.
For the movie.
Yes.
And I spoke to her husband, who told me they got basically some of the best editors possible from his house.
Wow.
Like, they are great editors. So anything you see wrong in that movie is not a symptom of the editors. It's a symptom of the film just not being, they worked with what they could. If there was something you didn't like, it's like they did the best they could with
But you also heard about how they had two different cuts and they tested it at the different screenplays and you heard
screenings?
About screenings, right? And the one that we finally saw that was released over the weekend at this point in time of recording, that was the one that won out at the screenings.
That was well received?
That was the one that was more well received and such. Because some things did, honestly speaking, some things did seem a little weird and out of place, but when I just watched it again last night, and watching it again, I'm like, okay, I can kind of see why they chose this direction opposed to something else.
Yeah.
But I mean, first and foremost, I guess the overall sense is, how did you feel about the movie?
I thought there were fun moments, but for me, there was just entirely too much exposition. And yeah, it was like there's too much exposition and not enough of the story was there. It's just like, the first half hour of the movie is breaking down all these people. I'm like, what is the fucking point of this? And so it's like a Mortal Kombat opening. It's like, here's this person, here's this person. You remember the old Mortal Kombat song? Exactly. It was a Mortal Kombat song spread out over a half hour. And so there's that. There was some very crazy logical fallacies in the film. The biggest one that I want to point to before I forget is the little statue of the dude just hanging out in Viola Davis's closet. I'm just
that was odd.
What the hell? It's just there for anyone. It's like so. There's that. Now let's back up because there's some refrigerator logic here. If you just think about it, it's like that is kind of strange. So the lady, the archaeologist, goes into the cave and finds this statue.
Yes.
Why does she rip it open?
That's
maybe she rips it open because the thing inside told her to rip it open. Okay, fine. There's some magic there. if that's the case, after her body's inhabited, if this other statue's so important,
why didn't she take it?
Why didn't she rip it open so they could just both rule the world? Like, what the hell happened in between? And in between, how did they capture this goddess in order to like set her aside in order to get to the heart and get the other little tiki statue? Like, there's just some holes there, right?
Well, I mean, with that, in terms of the thing about that, second time around, I was kind of thinking about that too, but Enchantress didn't actually even know where her brother was imprisoned until she read the file when she was released at the White House. Okay. She saw there was a file and she's like, oh, that's where my brother is, and then started looking for it after that. Like, she didn't know at all.
All right.
Because even Waller explains that they didn't even know where that was until she dug around for it and found it. Mm-hmm. And also found the heart as well, buried somewhere else.
Did you read the comics of Suicide Squad?
Never.
Okay. So there's another question now. It's like, because Enchantress came from another dimension.
Yes. Or another world dimension, either way. You want to look at it, yeah.
What dimension is this? And who was powerful enough to subdue her and put her in this statue? Like, why aren't we asking about that?
You know, it's kind of interesting you mentioned that because with the inclusion, you know, spoilers out there, what happens with El Diablo and actually starts speaking the same native language as the Enchantress god and such, there's a whole nother issue, like you said, they kind of tipped around in the fact that there's a whole nother world, a whole nother type of meta-humans or gods or whatever you want to talk about, but it only got touched upon. Even Amanda Waller kind of mentioned that we aren't the only people out there looking for people. So.
Imagine if, like, towards the end of Titanic, Jack comes back and he's like, yeah, I found a time machine. And then they're just happily ever after end credits. It's like, well, hold on. wait, hold on. We should be, that's where the movie should be. Where's this time machine?
Well, you know, you're right.
And so it begs the question. You're supposed to go with where the most interesting place is, and that's the most interesting place. Is what's going on in this other dimension.
Though you could argue the fact that that's not really where the focus of the movie is.
No, it's not.
The same reason.
But you're dropping, it's Chekhov's gun. Like, you introduce this thing, you gotta pay it off. It's gotta be shown, not just kind of touched upon for the convenience of the plot.
So you feel like there was too much of everything else going on, and there should have been more about the origin of Enchantress and where they all come from.
I think so. It's just a little bit more logic should have been introduced. But, like, okay, let's set that aside, right? Let's just say that's fine. Who cares about the logical fallacies? Is the film fun? The film does have fun moments. Yeah. I certainly can agree with that. Yeah. But it was just like, before we got to the adventure, it was that exposition with all the characters. That kind of drained me a little bit. But what really ticked me off, and this is probably nitpicking, is the music.
Oh, that's so nitpicking, because that was the best part. I thought, I love
You love the music? The music pissed me off. It was like a best of white people's music.
From
1960 to 2005.
No.
That's what it felt like.
No
like,
way.
it starts out with House of Rising Sun, my favorite song of all time, and it just becomes background music.
That's
and then it's got Creedence Clearwater Revival in there, and it's got Eminem for some fucking reason. I'm just like,
you know, it's so fun. What's so funny about that is I was just about to buy that soundtrack on the way over here.
That's exactly why they did it.
No, but it worked because it worked. I haven't been that excited about music in a movie since Guardians of the Galaxy. So
yeah, but at least Guardians of the Galaxy was showing us a lot of songs that we don't hear in every single movie. Like, every song you heard in that film, we've heard many, many, many times already.
You've heard Skrillex and Rick Ross together before? Because that was an exclusive made for that movie.
Maybe, okay, is that one song that was special? Like, really?
Okay.
Out of the hundreds that was used?
The Wayne's World song. We haven't heard that one in a long time. I mean, I call it the Wayne's World song, but I know it's something else.
I don't know why it's trying to be American Graffiti. It says I don't need wall-to-wall best of tracks from America in the last 50 years. Like, I wanted it to...
Okay. Well, let me challenge you on this then, because I like the movie. Like, first time around, I was actually kind of frustrated. And I know why I was frustrated is the fact that the scenes that I was looking for was not in the movie, and that was basically one of the main reasons everybody went to go see it. Harley and or Joker.
Yes.
And a lot of that was cut out.
Yes.
An extensive amount of it was cut out. And had we not... And so I went back the second time watching it, and I was like, okay, had I not known about those extra scenes, how does this movie pan out? And for me, it actually played out fairly well given what they're doing. Like, they didn't have a solo Deadshot movie. They didn't have a solo Harley movie. So this is essentially them jumping to Avengers without introducing Iron Man or Captain America. Yeah. So, you're wanting more from Enchantress. I didn't even think they covered enough of the rest of the squad. Katana was in there for no reason. She just popped up, hey, Japanese chick with a sword, and traps the souls of okay, let's go fight something. Yeah. So Killer Croc was just, okay, black guy, Louisiana guy, I guess. It was just kind of there, but
spoiler alert, by the way, they killed off the Indian dude, one of the only minorities in the film. He doesn't even get a proper introduction.
Slipknot, yeah.
Slipknot?
His name was Slipknot.
And then he just dies. I'm like, what the fuck?
That was exactly the reason why.
I know that's the reason, but that's terrible. It's just okay, there's something weird here.
Okay, well, I will say, have you ever seen Assault on Arkham? The animated version? Okay, no. Now... Watching Assault on Arkham beforehand, for me, that was the Suicide Squad movie. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of what I went in expecting Suicide Squad, the live action, to be. Yeah. Almost exactly the same concept. They had one dude, this KGB guy from Russia, barely introduced him, and then he comes in, he's like, fuck off, Amanda Waller, and Amanda Waller blows his head off and everything.
Wow.
Same idea with Slipknot, and then everybody gets in line after they knock one guy off. Yeah. So there's always that sort of version that they need some guy that's going to just take the fall real quick.
Going back to logical fallacies, what the hell was the boomerang guy doing in the movie?
I have no idea. In the animated version, it worked a little bit better. In this version, I don't know what he was doing.
Because it's this is a collection of super dangerous people to take on a super huge problem, right? But he never did anything.
He's the Hawkeye of the group. Yeah.
But Hawkeye is way more useful. At least he's
he had the boomerang with the camera on it to get the surveillance and recon.
First off, that made no sense. The first thing I was thinking of was isn't the boomerang spinning around? Why is the camera? What are the mechanics of this thing? I'm immediately questioning it because a boomerang is spinning and the camera's not spinning around. So I
didn't even think about that.
That's the first thing that popped into my head. I'm like, this is retarded. That's not. And it was already, you know what it was? It was already. If they had justified his character or used his character better prior to that, that wouldn't have mattered to me. But it's I'm already hating him. Now I'm looking for more reasons to not like him.
Well, I mean and I think that was one of the problems with what DC and WB are just trying to do. They're trying to jumpstart their entire universe without giving us any emotional connection to these characters.
Yeah, right.
And that was the biggest problem. I was kind of thinking about this the other day. Is if they had at least done a solo Deadshot movie with Will Smith on his own, it would have helped flush out some of the other characters. Just have them cameo or something. Amanda Waller's around, and then that whole exposition you saw maybe would have panned out a little bit better in the intro because it's just a little bit of a reminder.
I don't know if I needed all that. I think that they just needed another 30 minutes of movie that made sense of everything and less exposition and just give us that information over the course of the movie rather than trying to cram it all into that first 35 minutes. Just let us learn about these people through their actions, through their interactions. It doesn't need to be this kind of hypnotic MTV style Mortal Kombat intro. We don't need that. I thought we moved past that. This feels very 10 years ago.
Really?
For me, that kind of profile.
I actually like this. I actually like the David Ayer's take on this and the way it was kind of introduced because it was different.
Is that David Ayer's style?
Given that I've never actually seen
the original version.
Seen any of his other works before. I just assumed this was kind of the way he does things.
No,
he cuts things together.
No, it's totally different. That's I saw Fury. And in Fury, you just learn about the characters over the course of the movie. It's not bullet pointing, the different characters like a video game chart. It's you just go into battle with these people and learn about them.
Though what I will say is, given that the only reference of Suicide Squad I do have is I've seen the animated version, the movie that they did, and the Justice League Unlimited version, and generally that's kind of the way they introduced the Suicide Squad, kind of this kind of crazy animated type of look.
Yeah.
And for me, it felt fresh. It felt different because one of the biggest problems right now is the fact that the DCEU is trying to do everything different and failing at it. Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
But then if they try to do it exactly the same as Marvel, they're going to get panned in. They're kind of damned if they do, damned if they don't. So I actually do applaud them for trying to do something different. I thought Suicide Squad was one of the more visual comic book movies that I've seen in a long time, and I appreciated the fact that it was something different. I took my stepfather, we went to go see this movie yesterday, and he liked it. He doesn't know anything about comic book movies or whatever, but he liked it because it was different. He didn't understand why Joker was in the movie, but he did like the fact that it was a different take on what he's used to seeing.
Okay.
So
I'm going to take one more shit on this. So, and then I'm going to talk about some positive things.
Okay.
Usually I do the reverse. But, so, there feels like this... Okay, with the Marvel movies, there is this... And I was kind of annoyed about it at first, but I've grown to be okay with it and accustomed to, like... Because the Marvel films were setting up the Avengers franchise, essentially, right? And so you have, like, Iron Man and Thor and Captain America, all to eventually create the Avengers story, and it creates this bigger and bigger universe, the MCU. 3, 4. Phase 2, yeah, exactly. And so, if that's what's going on here, like, Batman vs. Superman was the first stage, essentially, because they start introducing all these other things for some reason that just don't belong in the movie. But fine, they're setting it up.
Yeah.
There seems to be this huge gap between Batman vs. Superman and Suicide Squad. Really? There's like those feel like two completely different universes. Like in one film, we're dealing with Superman who comes from another planet. He's got kryptonite,
right?
And now we've got a new dimension with magic and Ghostbusters bad guys.
I think that's a little. I think you're trying to. You're trying to drive too much into trying to make sense of Enchantress, given that I know what you're talking about, and watching that movie, I'm like, that would be interesting if in the future they dive more into these other realms or something.
Yeah.
But I think it's enough that, like, you just gotta kind of take it for the exposition it really was. Yeah, Amanda Waller was like, look, she's a witch, she's older than we are, and she'll be around even before we are, after we're long gone. Yeah. That's all you need to know. Let's roll with it. That's that, you know? It's the same way, like, are you questioning Diablo? Like, how did this Latino dude, or Mexican dude, get the power of a devil inside of him like that?
I wasn't questioning Diablo until he became the full-fledged version of El Diablo, because it's like he had these powers. Okay, I'm sure there's some kind of like X-Men type explanation there, like some kind of thing in the environment fucked with his. I don't know.
No, but he was an actual god.
But he was an actual. That kind of threw me, dude. Like I don't get like. It's that was weird. I don't understand that, because we start out with Man of Steel, because what are the DC movies that we have? We got Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, and I mean, but outside of that, we had the Christopher Nolan trilogy. That's completely separate, right? So all we have to go off of is Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman, and suddenly we're launching into a whole different set of rules.
Well, I mean, but you can also say the same. You can say for the same. I mean, as horrible as it was, this bizarre DVD extra and BVS was also the kind of launch of like, oh, here's a guy that can swim in the water. Here's a guy that can run fast. Here's an Amazon princess out of nowhere.
That's true.
You know, they were. Here's a robot cyborg dude. Like it was handled horribly, but it's kind of like you got to kind of take it right now with like a suspend your disbelief.
You're right. They did that whole fucking
the whole bullshit. Idea of Bruce Wayne was like, there's a whole nother thing coming, and the the mother box and like all this stuff going on. It was all thrown in there.
Yeah, the little email that he got from Wonder Woman does explain quite a bit. I guess that's fine. That's fair. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. You know, it was just so ham-fisted into that movie that.
And I think the other problem, or maybe that some people and critics...
shoehorned is the word I'm looking for.
Right. Well, critics are also having is the issue that nobody knows Suicide Squad. Nobody's really familiar with it. So when you kind of throw in all these characters...
I like that, though.
Sort of. But
I like that.
Apparently you don't, because it wasn't enough for you to kind of...
No, it was the execution that bothered me. Not necessarily going with a brand new cast of people. I like that they did that.
Right.
It just... the execution was a little off for me. The way it was handled, I would have handled it differently. I wouldn't have had so much of that music in there.
For me, that was like the saving part of that movie because it helped move it along. Yeah, so the second half was very slow, and it didn't really feel like they were an actual full-fledged team when they actually finally had their little Avengers moment walking down there. But overall, I was like, hey, I can deal with this.
That was so cheesy.
The slow motion.
Yeah, the slow motion one. I'm like, what the fuck? And the boomerang guy shows up again. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you're not. Yeah. You have nothing to do with this. If we took you out of the movie, the same things would have happened. There's nothing that guy did that altered the course of anything except for getting the guy's head blown off. And maybe that's enough.
Maybe that was enough. I mean, would you? Okay, at this point though, would you say that? With everything that Suicide Squad brought and the problems that you had with the movie, would you still watch a Suicide Squad number 2?
Yes.
So then job well done.
Well, here's the thing, because people are asking me, would you recommend this movie? And I said, absolutely. I would say go watch it.
Okay.
I was still like, someone asked me today, do you think I should watch it? I said, yes, just set your expectations to Transformers low, and you'll come out liking it quite a bit.
Wow.
I say that because it's better than Transformers. Obviously, it's much better than Transformers.
Yeah.
But you set your expectations that low, and the movie will pull you up. But if I tell you exactly how good it is, you go in expecting that, then it's gonna be like, well, okay.
I say the biggest disappointment I had in this movie, because I still like the movie, but the disappointment I had was the fact that the Joker was promoted very predominantly in all of the posters and all of the trailers.
You felt like that? I didn't feel like that.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't feel like
Every poster you see the Joker, he's the main guy. Even if it's like this image in the background, he's kind of like that dude that's always there. So I didn't expect him to be the main focal point of the movie, but I expected him to be in there at least more than 7 minutes.
Sure.
Sure.
So I liked Harley Quinn quite a bit.
Yeah.
I thought she was great. I liked.
Is this your first time seeing Harley Quinn?
In a movie.
But you're familiar with her backstory.
I'm familiar with her from the animated series.
Okay.
I watched the animated series growing up.
Okay.
I liked her a lot more than I initially expected. I was expecting not to like her, but then I saw the movie and I'm like, oh wow, that feels familiar. I liked everything she was doing.
How do you like her take on it, Margot Robbie?
I liked it a lot.
Okay.
I liked it a lot. I thought her accent kind of went in and out sometimes.
Yes,
but
I agree.
Overall, I thought she did a very good job.
Okay.
I like what Will Smith did. I liked it more than I was expecting to. Again, so that was a pleasant surprise because initially when I saw the trailer, Will Smith was one of my frustrations. I'm like, oh, here's Will being Will Smith again. Right. But I actually thought he did a good job.
Right.
And I like what he brought to it. I'm not sure yet about the Joker. I'm still not sure yet. I'm on the fence because I'm so just like tied to Heath Ledger's performance as Joker. I'm like, how do I abandon that? Because it feels kind of like that, but different, but sort of like he's trying to find his own Joker, but it's not quite his own Joker.
Honestly, you're not the only one that's been saying this, but I don't think you need to exactly abandon Ledger's version of the Joker, but just appreciate each one for what it is. The same way where I appreciate Jack Nicholson's Joker for what it was at that time. We can look back on what Heath did and how he brought something to the character, and just look forward to the fact that we're still going to have an entertaining character.
Yeah.
We're going to have a new Joker in future films that, it's not horrible. It's not terrible. I don't think it's bad. I actually quite enjoy this take that he did. I thought it was pretty interesting. Like, the fact... Here's how I bottom line Joker is the fact that Joker has always been around. The main point of the Joker is he's supposed to do things that are sometimes funny or creepy, but in the sense that makes you laugh, and then you check yourself and you're like, God, I shouldn't have laughed at this. And I feel like Leto's Joker was there, but unfortunately due to all the editing, we didn't see the full-fledged character development.
Right.
There.
Yeah.
So, I hope so. I had this conversation earlier that I hope in the future, I don't want WB, and people are going to get mad at me for saying this, I don't think WB should release an unedited version, like the unlimited version, just like they did with BVS, because the problem is that opens a flood door for every movie that's bad, I need to go buy the Blu-ray to see the complete. It's feels like DLC, which is really frustrating for me. Very expensive DLC. But I do feel like maybe they should save all those scenes that they shot that hadn't been released and used them in something I'd like to see is a Mad Love story. Harley Quinn's origin. Okay. It was written by Paul Dini. It's a comic that explained how Harley Quinn got her powers, got transformed, got tricked by the Joker, and really goes into that broken relationship that Harley and Joker have. Yeah. I would love to see an adaptation like that with a cameo from Batman occasionally, maybe even Robin, show the death of Robin and all that. I'd love to see something like that so we can see a little more development with Harley Quinn and Joker, but it doesn't overshadow what they're trying to do with Suicide Squad 2.
I want to see the David Ayer version of this movie. I really do. Like, I really would like to see the director's cut.
As far as he said, this is his version. This is what he...
That is a load of crap. There's no way that's true.
That's what they said.
There's no way that's true.
They said that, like, there was problems. He's being modest and he's being
paid to say that. I'm gonna say that he's being paid to say that. I'm sure of it. I would be if someone was gonna say, "Look, we know we fucked up your movie, but the audiences are liking this version. Would you take $1 million to shut the fuck up?" I would say, "Fine, give me fine." Like I have no honor. Just give me my $1 million.
Now, what I will say is that I had noticed every trailer started to get brighter and brighter each time, but a lot of that was just due to how dark and dreary BVS was, and the reaction of that caused Warner Brothers to just go into a panic, which they tend to do a lot. Yeah. But who knows? Who knows what we would have seen honestly. From what I've seen in this movie now, if I had to choose between what I just saw yesterday versus a dark and dreary, more Snyderish type of Suicide Squad, I would pick this one 10 times over.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Because, I'm not going through that deep, dark, depressing type of movie again.
I would like to see, I'm almost tempted to get this movie and recut it myself. I'm gonna take out all the fucking music, I'm gonna take out that half-hour exposition, and just see what the movie feels like afterwards. I'm gonna use my music, because I listen to soundtrack music in the car. I don't listen to the radio.
Good.
I listen to, intense theatrical,
That's
soundtrack
important.
music.
Yeah.
And so, because I like to think of scenes and whatnot. But yeah, I would love to see that music, almost like just what they did with Avengers or any of the Marvel movies. Like those soundtracks are decent. Those soundtracks are really good. They serve the movie well. I want that. It's not super dark. It serves the film. It serves the tone. And it doesn't need to be hip. It doesn't need to be the pop music of the last 40 years. I keep saying that, but it just frustrated me so much.
But honestly, I know it's okay. How did you feel about the trailers, though? The first.
Okay, I have a theory.
the second trailer.
I have a theory.
Okay.
So
how did you feel about the?
I have a theory.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing, and I may have mentioned this in another video, but did you grow up in Los Angeles?
Of course.
Okay,
yes.
so
right down the street from you.
Okay.
Actually.
Okay. So you'll know what I'm talking about then. The second trailer, because I saw the first trailer and I was like, I would have my.
It was weird. It was kind of
reservations, right? And the second trailer made everyone lose their mind, and I was like,
yeah, that was great.
I have a feeling that what Warner Brothers is doing is this subconscious effort where they're attaching Queen's music to the trailer, and everybody inherently loves Queen. So it's creating this positive association between the music you love and this imagery, so automatically, by extension, you're going to love the imagery, right? Everybody loves Queen, especially here in the States. If you go to any bar, and
That's
Queen
true.
music pops up,
everybody gets involved.
Everybody, especially the white people, everybody stops what they're doing and starts singing Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yes.
Everybody gets into it.
Yeah, it's in my head right now.
And then they go back to what they were doing. And it's like, that was a very smart move to use Queen's music. It was very, very smart. And they did the same thing with that first-person perspective film. That was hardcore.
Yeah,
they did the same thing with that, and although it wasn't quite as successful, but still, that's what initially jump-started the interest. And then, if you look at the last trailer of Suicide Squad, it had hip-hop music or something like that. People didn't care as much about that trailer. I think it had it just was different. It wasn't the same music.
I can't remember the third trailer.
Obviously,
yeah.
See, Queen's music is what saved that movie.
It's I suppose, but you in a sense you might be that's what started some of the reshoots, because the second trailer for Suicide Squad was viewed actually more than Batman v Superman's trailer.
Okay, yeah.
And Warner started to panic a little bit, like, because what happened was they showed all the good parts, all the funny and interesting parts in that trailer, and they didn't have anything left. So they went back and did some reshoots to add in a little more humor.
I heard that was a myth. I heard that was a
yeah, but
lie.
how much is that myth? Like, going back at some of that stuff I've seen, like, I could kind of see where some stuff looked a little out of place, and you could kind of tell it was a reshoot. I was like, okay, yeah.
So we're about to lose our recording here, so we're gonna wrap this up. Thanks you guys so much for hanging out with us. Please follow Akasan on the YouTube and social media. Check out other reactions, reviews, short films, and video game related videos. Thanks for hanging out this whole half hour. I'm Jaby KOAY. This is
Akasan.
Peace out.